back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hey guys, so today I'm going to bring you a tag which was created very spur of the moment. I saw Renee tweeting Elizabeth on Twitter about it, and then I saw Chelsea put up a video about it, and it's called the Comfort Reads tag, because sometimes we need a bit of time to ourselves to sort of escape, to try and rebalance ourselves, to try and kind of just get everything in perspective and decide what we can do going forward. So I'm here today to tell you guys some of my favourite books that I like to comfort read, that I consider really great little books to perk you up, or to give you a bit of hope, or to just make you hopefully feel a tiny bit better. So I'm going to tell you loads, and you guys can go away, read them, pick them up, let me know what you thought of them, and I'd love to hear what your favourite comfort reads are as well. So let's just get started. So for me, comfort reads are usually books that are fairly happy, or books that are fairly light-hearted, books that have a good character, someone fun, someone likeable, something like that I can relate to. And this book is definitely that. So the first one I have is A Natural History of Dragons by Lady Trent, which is actually by Marie Brennan. This is the first book in the series of the memoirs of Lady Trent, and I think it's a fantastically fun series. It's quite calm, quite lovely, quite adventurous all at once. We follow a character called Lady Trent as a dragon naturalist, and I think this book and this series is quite calm, it's quite happy, it's quite funny, it's quite witty at times, and it definitely has some subversions of sort of gender tropes and things like that. So I really related to the main character of this book, and I think she's a fantastic woman to get excited about, to relate to really feel as though she's doing something awesome. Even though it's a fictional world, she's a great character, and she makes this book fantastic fun. So I would hugely recommend this and the whole series, because I've loved the whole series. The next one I have is a Terry Pratchett, and this is The Colour of Magic. Terry Pratchett is very good for satire, which can and cannot be everyone's taste. For me, I love it. I think he's got a way with words that is witty, that is funny, that is interesting. He and his books particularly seem to take me back to this moment of childhood somehow, even though they have adult themes and some of the time they're commenting on political and society issues. It's still really fun the whole way through, and I think all of the wacky characters and all of the whimsical places and crazy names and puns make this a light-hearted, fun series. You can read it as a darker, more intense book, or you can read it as just very pure, light-hearted, good, entertaining fun. And I think it's up to you how you want to take things, but I usually read these as very fun with some clever stuff going on in the background, and I think that this is the sort of book that you would really enjoy. I mean, any of the Discworld books, I've only read the first 4, but I've really enjoyed all of them. And I think they're all in the same vein of sort of funny and witty and clever all at once. Going back to my childhood, because everyone knows sometimes we just need a bit of time away from everything that we know and everything that we do daily, and going back to your childhood, to a time when you were a little bit more naive, when you had bigger dreams maybe, when you had other things going on that were crazy priorities in your life. I think that's a great thing to do sometimes, and there are a couple of different authors who I really loved when I was a kid that I would still read today. The first of them being ENID BLYTON, who is the author of the Famous Five series. This one is 5 on a Treasure Island, which is the first one in this series, although there are plenty of them out there. The Famous Five, for me, are definitely comforting, because I used to listen to the audiobook tapes when I was very young at night, and they would help me go to sleep when I was scared, in the dark, or whatever it was. These stories would lull me off to sleep, along with the St. Clair's and Mallory Towers books, which are also by her. They were the books that I listened to every night and read every night. Contemporary, fun, adventure children's stories, and I think this is complete escapism. This is about 4 young kids and their dog Timmy, and they go on all sorts of weird, crazy mystery adventures. I used to read all of these, I loved them all, and I would definitely recommend them as a series. If you've not read any of them, maybe pick up the first one and give it a try. It is lighthearted, it is fun, and it's really enjoyable too, so I'd recommend that. Going back even further in my love for Enid Blyton, I have The Faraway Tree by her, The Magic Faraway Tree, and this is one of the first books I can remember reading. I read this with my grandma and my sister when we were living there, which was whilst my parents were getting divorced, so it's quite a long time ago. I remember reading this almost every night, and it was such a happy story. It's about these children who go up this tree, which is a magical tree, and they meet all these people who live in the tree, including woodland animals who can talk and bizarre creatures who have moons for faces. And every time they go up the tree, there's a magical world at the top of it. It can be something really good, it can be something a little bit scary, it can be something really funny and crazy. It can kind of be anything, and this series is just a fantastically fun one. It makes me smile thinking about it, and it's so fun to read, so I definitely would recommend this if you've never read it before. It's a really, really great sort of starting place with fantasy stories, and it's just really light and really fun. Another little book that I have is The Hobbit, which, as we all know, is by J.R.R. Tolkien. I've never managed to get through The Lord of the Rings. I have tried The Lord of the Rings many times, but I did manage to get through The Hobbit quite easily, and I really enjoyed The Hobbit as a story. I think this is, again, probably a lot of people's comfort read. A lot of people, this would be their first exposure into fantasy, and I think it's a great one to kind of just get you out of your own mind and exploring a whole other world. In terms of a good adventure, this is definitely that, and I think the pacing in this one is a lot better for me than Lord of the Rings, which I find incredibly slow and hard to get through. But this one I found quite easy and quite fun, and I definitely think it's a story that lots of people would love, so if you've never read The Hobbit before, maybe give it a try. Moving on to some more adult themed ones, the next one I have is Among Others, which is by Jo Walton. This is a wonderful book. It is charming, it is lovely, it follows a young girl. She loves reading, she loves books, she loves science fiction and fantasy particularly, and she also has magic in her family, or that's what she says. We don't ever really know if it's true because she's the narrator of the book and it's told in diary form, so you can kind of take from that what you will. But what I loved about this, it's so charming. She has to deal with struggling to fit in at a new school, and she has to deal with her mother who seems to be having some sort of mental breakdown, possibly she's a witch. Lots of crazy stuff's going on, but throughout the whole thing, Mori, our main character, is just fantastic, and I loved her and I love reading about her. And this was definitely such a lovely story because it really did make me smile and make me have fun. I'd definitely recommend it. Another author who always makes me smile is GAIL CARRIGER. Her books focus largely on sort of steampunk era, Victorian England usually, and she loves to play tropes up against each other. She loves to subvert things, she loves to make the women the key characters in this and make them really feisty and fun. She loves to kind of just do wacky and weird and crazy things with names and with the adventures that they go on. This is definitely that. It's an adventure story, and it's about a young girl who goes away to boarding school. Little does she know that there is actually training to become an assassin at this school. So it's very, very fun. It's very charming, and it just makes me feel very happy to read it because it's always quite silly. Like, some of the plot things that happen are silly, and some of the characters are silly, and some of the places that they go to and the names that they come across and the people that they meet are silly. And it's kind of wonderful that it's silly because it knows it is, and it loves that and it revels in that, and I just love that GAIL CARRIGER embraces a little bit of the wit and the humour and the silliness and makes a really fluffy, wonderful, amazing book. Speaking of fantastic authors, we all know that a great comfort read is always going back to our favourite author. So of course I will, as ever, recommend you all Robin Hobb. Now I will say, Robin Hobb is not necessarily a light-hearted writer. She does a lot of nasty things to her characters, but in terms of escaping my own world, I get so enmeshed and feel so enriched with her worlds. She is eloquent, she is fantastic at how she describes things. She makes the world that she writes in come to life for me, and I don't say that lightly. She genuinely makes it come to life for me. I can imagine the people, I can feel as though I'm there, sensing things, smelling things, being in the moment with these characters, and I get really emotionally invested, which is a good and a bad thing, I guess. Take that how you will. But I adore her work, and of course this is the first book in the series, so if you've not read it, maybe try it out. It's fantastic, and it's a great, great comfort read for me to go back into her world and meet the characters again, and I definitely plan to do like a reread of the whole series sometime, because I really want to do that, and it's such a good series and I love it. So even though it's got very sad moments and it makes me cry, it is great to escape from my reality and my world. So fantastic book, would hugely recommend. Moving on now to graphic novels and graphic-y things, because graphic things and picture books and books that are just a little bit charming and wonderful are great escapism for me personally as well. So quickly, a few that I would mention are The Encyclopedia of Early Earth by Isabel Greenberg. This is such a bright and exciting graphic novel. It's kind of a collection of different tiny stories. Each double page is a story and it has pops of colour. It follows a couple of Inuits as they travel around and they end up meeting each other and falling in love, and it's kind of one of their journey to get to the other one, and I really love the art style. I think it's a really great story and it's beautiful as well. So if you need a bit of light escapism, then this is one for that. If we're talking about adult graphic novels, then I would recommend this series. It is an adult series and it's definitely not going to be for everyone, but if you want to see a real life loving relationship in graphic form, this is probably the closest that I've come to a real adult relationship being portrayed, sex and all, in a graphic novel series. Sunstone by STJEPAN is fantastic. These are the first 4 volumes. I believe the 5th one comes out soon-ish. I love this. It's about a lesbian BDSM couple and they are quite new to being in BDSM, or at least one of them is. The other one's a little bit more experienced, but she's not really had much experience with other women. And it talks about how they come to meet each other, it talks about the relationship that they slowly build, and it talks about the trust and the love and everything that they have with each other. Now, it's not necessarily your typical comfort read, but in terms of seeing a loving, caring, beautiful, honest relationship, I think it does have all of those things, and I do think this is a beautifully drawn and beautifully put together series. It's written by a man and he does a fantastic job of portraying a lesbian relationship. I don't quite know how he does it, but it's fantastic and I love it. Another graphic series that I'm going to recommend is this one, Lumberjanes. Lumberjanes is fantastic. It's written by Stevenson, Ellis, Watters and Allen, and also later on LAHAIO comes into it, and it is fantastic, like absolutely fantastic. This is age appropriate for everyone, so kids and adults alike can read this. I think there are 5 different girls and they all go to a summer camp, and when they're there they basically get into all sorts of misadventures and find crazy, whimsical, magical, bizarre, wacky, fantastical things in the woods near where their summer camp is, and none of the adults really seem to notice at first, so it's just them going on these very crazy adventures. Along the way they are growing up, they are discovering things about themselves, they're discovering things about each other. This is one of the most lovely things I've ever read in my life, and I cannot say that more passionately. It's lovely. It makes my heart ache to read it because it's so nice, and I love it so much. And the artwork is fantastic, the colours are fantastic, everything is fantastic, and it just makes me smile. So I would definitely say read Lumberjanes. There are some great relationships in this. It's so beautiful and so heartwarming, and I absolutely adore this whole series. So everyone knows that when it comes to comfort reads, Harry Potter is the one. Harry Potter is a story about a young boy who discovers he is a wizard and he gets to go to magic school. And whilst he's there, the biggest thing that he does is make friends, learn magic, although that's a sideline to Quidditch, which seems to feature a lot more, and defeat the Dark Lord Voldemort. And I mean, it is the true story of good versus evil. It is lovely, it is beautiful, it is everything, and these editions are fantastic too. These are the illustrated editions, which by the way are really heavy, but my goodness, Harry Potter, Harry Potter, Harry Potter. I don't even know how many times I can say it. This series is the one you need to read if you are feeling low, if you're feeling down. It will make you happy because it's Harry Potter. Those are all the comfort reads that I have to recommend to you guys today. I'd love to hear yours in the comments below, or if you want to do this tag and just do a video about it, then please do, and please link me. I will put a link to Chelsea's video down below because obviously she was the first one to do it that I saw, and I think this was just a fantastic tag anyway, so I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone getting involved and doing some comfort reads. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.